president is blocking what would have been the biggest deal in technology in history. The president is blocking Broadcom's $117 billion hostile bid for Qualcomm, saying that it posed a threat to national security. The move comes after the panel that vets foreign deals voiced concern over the Singapore-based Broadcom acquiring the U.S.-based chipmaker Qualcomm, saying that it could hamper efforts to develop 5G wireless networks and other emerging technologies in the United States. Here's what the president's top trade advisor, Peter Navarro, told me this weekend about China's efforts to cultivate U.S. technology.
China should not be stealing our intellectual property and technologies or forcing their transfer. And when we run the deficits with them, they go to places like Silicon Valley, flush with American dollars, and they buy up those startup companies that are on the cutting edge of artificial intelligence, robotics, and everything we're going to need. If we don't have the industries of the future, we don't have a future.
Broadcom now says it is reviewing President Trump's order. Joining us now to talk more about it is the author of The Coming Collapse of China, Gordon Chang. And Gordon, it's good to have you back because yesterday you were so adamant about this. In fact, I tweeted out when you said it that you said that if Broadcom were allowed to acquire Qualcomm, then Qualcomm would not be able to compete effectively with China. Walk us through that. What was your reaction to the president's move, and what do you think the reasoning is behind this?
Yeah, the president was very clear, and I think it was the right thing to do. He decided that Broadcom posed a threat. And the reason is you can look at Broadcom's business model. They do this consistently. They buy a company, they break it up, and they realize the shareholder value. But that's great if you want shareholder value, but it also meant that Qualcomm would have been taken apart. And, you know, this is not some theoretical concern because Broadcom had been talking about what it was going to do with Qualcomm, and many people were concerned, especially because there was the view that Broadcom was going to sell off some of those patents, which is really the core of Qualcomm's business. So here we didn't have a second chance. You know, it's either Qualcomm or it's Huawei, the Chinese company, which is nominally private, but really connected to the People's Liberation Army and the Ministry of State Security. So if Qualcomm was not able to compete, despite what Broadcom said, because they are a serial offender in this regard, it just was the end of this for the United States. And Peter Navarro says, you know, you've got to have a future.
But I don't understand why you think this is a national security risk, and that's certainly what the president is saying. Why you think that Broadcom-Qualcomm combination would be less effective in terms of competing with China should they get together? Why? I mean, Broadcom's Singapore-based. Explain your reasoning why Qualcomm would not be able to compete with China should that deal take place.
Well, theoretically, if Broadcom kept Qualcomm in one piece, yes, Qualcomm could compete. But there was real concerns inside Qualcomm that if this merger just dragged on, that the company would just sort of wind away. And so I think it's important. You know, this is why the Defense Department was concerned, because they're looking at wireless communication, 5G, which will connect virtually everything in your home and your office. So it's important from that perspective that we did not have the Chinese into the backbone of the United States. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Anchor, what do you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the challenge here is the White House stepping in to block the acquisition is different than setting a regulatory precedent for what the U.S. needs. And so there are lots of ways we could have incentivized Broadcom, Qualcomm to continue leading the charge on the 5G development. And I think it's just a little concerning to start seeing blocks based on perceived fears of business models on this type of acquisition.
But to Gordon, to your point, one of the things that Broadcom did say that piqued the interest of the members of the CFIUS committee was that it would take a private equity style approach if it bought Qualcomm, leading them to think that they would spend less on long-term research and development and more on, well, short-term matters, to your point.
Yeah, this is what they do all the time. So, you know, they've done it before, they'll do it again. And, you know, we just did not have the opportunity to say, oh, let's just experiment and see if they're going to change their business model. It was clear what they were going to do because they told us what they were going to do. They've done it so many times in the past.
Yeah. Gordon, I want to turn the lens to China and where China is going with artificial intelligence and 5G technology. China is a surveillance state. You could argue a police state. It's not a completely open economy. Can a country like that's running such a top-down economy really leapfrog the United States and other free and open societies in high technology? I mean, they've made all their inroads in basically low-end manufacturing. Can they become a leading-edge economy while running a surveillance state and a police state?
You know, that is the critical question, and the answer is yes, they can do it, at least for a short period of time. You know, we've got one precedent, and that is that the Soviet Union was able to go into space first. They were able to put a satellite there, got the first man in space. That's because the states like Soviet Union and China devote a lot of state energy into specific goals.
But Gordon, that's kind of my point. The Soviet Union never got to the moon, and its economy collapsed. So do we really think that the Chinese are going to be able to make the kind of threat that we're saying they are?
Well, long term, we can discuss that, but short term, definitely they can. And in quantum computing, quantum communications, they're well ahead of us, 2 to 3 years at least. You put AI together with quantum, and God knows what's going to occur there.
Yeah.
And so that's really the concern, because we know that the Chinese state is putting a lot of effort into AI with state money and state engineers all working together closely.
Yeah, they're actually at a record level in terms of their participation in venture deals. 7 to 10% of all venture deals China has participated in the last 5 years. Do you think this is partly why the president instituted those tariffs on steel and aluminum, Gordon, because there's a bigger story here surrounding China?
Yeah, the big story here is industrial base. Those tariffs on steel and aluminum, if you look at it as a trade issue, it's indefensible.
Right.
But if you look at it as a national security issue, it's very different. Those tariffs were set at levels that the Commerce Department thought would make steel and aluminum self-sustaining, so that we would be able to build weapons of war. And this is not just a theoretical concern, because there's a lot of steel and aluminum that goes into destroyers and tanks and planes that we do not, in fact, make in this country.
Yeah, it's interesting, because the Journal has an op-ed this morning, Dagan. The title, The National Security Tariff Ruse.
Right, because I'll point to Gordon referencing the Commerce Department's reports earlier this year on the national security threat of not having a, in their words, vibrant steel industry. But Defense Secretary Mattis had responded. The Trump Commerce Department, used the 232, but the Department of Defense was worried about the negative impact on our key allies, and the Department of Defense does not believe that the findings in the reports impact the ability of Defense Department programs to acquire the steel or aluminum necessary to meet national defense requirements.
Yeah.
So again, the national security threat, according to the Defense Department,
right,
it's a hoax.
And the Journal op-ed page today, Gordon is pushing back on that. Real quick, your comment there.
Yeah, if you have a short-term issue, yeah, I'm sure that DOD is correct. But if we're in a long-term struggle with China and a war like World War II, we need to be able to make our own steel and aluminum. That just seems to me to be elemental.
We also need allies like Canada rather than alienating them. So, again, that goes to the Defense Department. They're worried about the impact on our allies like South Korea as well.
Gordon, good to see you, sir. Thank you so much.